Okay, our last presentation before our lunch and networking session is Research Alternative ISD Model.
Hello again. So now I am representing Stephen Hampton from Embry-Riddle, Jan Neal from Embry-Riddle, and Ann Little from ADDX. And we'll be talking about Project 10, Research Alternative ISD Model. And once again, I know very little about this topic. So if you have any questions, I have some notes and contact information for these lovely people. All right, so for phase one, the general approach will be a content analysis involving the coding and analysis of a representative sample of published literature on instructional systems design. The approach will permit the capture of quantitative and qualitative data. The quantitative data, they will be looking to identify evidence-based best practices, and qualitative data looking for opportunities to identify best practices, promising practices, or smart practices. Given the large volume of education literature, they will be limiting their search time frame to the period from 1997, which began the rise of the internet and its widespread use of distance education, to 2017. They'll be also limiting their search to the education databases that provide relevant full-text content. Given the large number of ISD and instructional development models, they will confine their analysis to those that offer systematic planning and procedures for designing, developing, implementing, and evaluating instruction. The literature analysis approach will allow them to systematically assess the strengths and weaknesses of ISD models, systems, and methods using a design science balanced scorecard index by averaging scored criteria. For phase one, their findings should provide a pragmatic lens to evaluate the current ISD practices at the ATO during phase two, which is on that side. The desired project outcome will be to identify the best ISD practices, including strategic decision-making for developing online blended and instructor-led occupation education, and for training air traffic controllers and the technicians. The researchers are going to use three best practice criteria and attributes based on the definitions. One, instructional design is a systematic process that is employed to develop education and training programs and in a consistent and reliable fashion. They also have a couple more definitions. I can read them if you'd like, but I'd like to continue. All right, so they have those three criteria, and each one has measurable indicators for their attributes. So for the first criteria, attribute number one, they'll be looking at the effectiveness. So they're looking for the process results in the desired education and training outcomes. And the indicator will be the user feedback from the training that's relevant and accurate. Also for criteria one, they will be looking for decision-making alignment with process management decisions. And the indicator that they're looking at is decisions that are fact-based, targeted, and productive. For criteria two, their first attribute should be scalable, in that the process meets the different sized needs of the enterprise, and they'll be looking for leveraging resources to fulfill the development requirements. The second attribute for criteria two is that it's flexible. The process accommodates the training requirements, and that indicator will be that it is responsive to emergent needs of learners and continual improvement of instruction. The third attribute for the criterion two is that it is visible, in that the stages and steps are accessible by all stakeholders, and the indicators are that the project status is clearly visible and that the management process is well documented. For the third criteria, attribute number one is that it's simple, it's easy to implement, and that indicator will be that it minimizes time to learn how to implement the process. For attribute 2, they want it to be rapid, so it should not be constrained arbitrarily. The indicators will be that it minimizes production time and that the scale efficiency is optimized for the operations team. Lastly, for criterion 3, the ISD process should be efficient. It should optimize the technical resources. It also has 2 indicators in that it maximizes and adapts resource utilization and is not redundant nor unnecessary for approval. For coding schema, they are using evidence-based best practice, EBBP, to quantitatively demonstrate exemplary evidence. Say that 5 times fast. They'll be looking for best existing practice, BP, for qualitatively demonstrating some evidence, which is SE3, and adequate evidence, AE4. And they will be looking at promising emergent practice, PP, or smart practice, SP, which might demonstrate no evidence, NE1, or minimal evidence, ME2. The literature databases that they will be focusing on include dissertations and theses from ProQuest, ERIC, eBook Central from ProQuest, eBrary, and Taylor and Francis Online. They have a very long list of sample ISD models that they will be looking into, including Agile, Assure Backward Design, Kemp, Lot Like Agile Methods Approach, Llama, Successive Approximation Model, SAM, and the Systems Approach Model, Dick and Carey. It's a much longer list, so if you're curious if your favorite ISD model will be covered, come see me, I'll let you know. And I think that's all. So they're just getting started with phase 1. Thank you.